Hey guys, it's me, Arthur Jr. 86 here, back for another toy review. And today I'm going to be reviewing the Star Wars Movie Heroes Destroyer Droid with firing cannons. And yes, I did pick this up for clearance, $6.98 at Target. All the Star Wars figures, for the exception of the vintage line, they all seem to be on clearance now, which is pretty good. Hopefully that's a sign that they're making way for maybe a new series, new wave of Star Wars figures. So let's go ahead and take a look at the back and see what we have there. Okay, here's the back of the blister package here. As you can see, we have a picture of the Droideka, also known as the Destroyer Droid. And on the back it also says, a more threatening weapon than a battle droid, Destroyer droids are employed by the Trade Federation to compensate for weakness within battle droid armies. Also known as droidekas, Destroyer droids were engineered specifically as mobile machines of destruction, capable of eliminating practically any opposition. Okay, so, as you can see, we also have a picture there near the bottom showing us that it includes the Galactic Battle game, as well as other figures that are included in this line. So let's go ahead and open this up and take a closer look at what we've got here. Okay, here is the Destroyer Droid, also known as the Droideka, out of the packaging. As you can see, it's a relatively decent likeness to what we've seen from the Star Wars movies. As you can see, his legs here are not like actual person legs. They're those robotic little tripod legs. And his arms here are obviously weapons. You know, his head. Well, actually, let's focus on the way he looks. Overall, the mold, there's actually a lot of detail with the arms and the legs and the torso. The mold is okay, it's not bad. It's you can see some ribbing there on the weapons, where the blasters are supposed to be. So there's a relatively good mold. As far as a paint job goes, this is mostly just like a gray sort of silver color. So there isn't really a lot of paint application put to this thing. Obviously, we've got some of that brownish orange trimmings around on the head and the waist area there, where that ball-like part of them is. So the mold is decent, but there isn't really a lot for a paint scheme here. It's mostly just that one solid gray color. So let's go ahead and take a look at his articulation. Okay, so his head can move up and down like that. Not much else going on with the head other than that. It does not move from side to side. Let's see here. The arms, they can move back like that. The forearms can fold out a little. Well, not really fold out, but really close in. Like so. Actually, you can't really get a full 360 degree rotation with the arms. I mean, well, actually, yeah, you can, but as you can see, I'm moving this one, and the other one is also moving. That's part of his action feature, which I'll get to here soon. Let's take a look at the torso. It can move around 360 degrees. The legs, the lower part can fold in like that. And the upper part here, where it's connected to that ball part, it can also... there's really not a lot of articulation in the legs. They sort of fold in and out, but not really. Which is also a bit of a problem when it comes to standing him, because sometimes the lower legs, if you don't position it right, they'll sort of fold in a little. So that's it. There really isn't a lot of articulation with this particular character, or this figure. Let's move on to his action feature. Okay, so his action feature is that he's supposed to have firing cannons. As you can see here on the back, there is like this little knob. Yeah, see his legs are starting to close in a little when I try and move him. But there's this little knob right there, this thing here. If you sort of push down on this, let's see if I can get it in a good position. If you push down on it like that, you know, his arms will move around. And it'll simulate as if he's firing, you know, firing a weapon. Which is not bad. It looks okay. But there is a problem with it because it comes with these missiles here. I put those in right before I started this review, but they're missiles a lot like the Nick Fury figure that I reviewed. These missiles, you know, there's no release mechanism on the actual arms there to release the missiles. So again, the box is sort of giving us a false advertisement that it has this action feature of, you know, that it can fire its cannons, but it really can't. It's more like it can simulate as if it were firing the cannons, but it can't actually fire anything. Still, the missiles inside, they look alright, they look nice, I guess, but it's misleading. The action feature that is supposedly advertised on the box is a bit misleading. And also, you know, if you've seen the movies, in the movies, the Droidicas actually roll up into a ball and they can roll around. This guy does not roll up into a ball at all. You know, what you see is what you've got here. If he could roll up into a ball, the articulation on this figure would be immensely better. But anyways, he doesn't really come with any accessories other than this figure stand here, which is kind of pointless for this figure because the feet don't have any peg holes. There's nothing on there for him to stand on with the base. So although it's nice that they included a base, the figure doesn't need it, and it doesn't fit on that base. Obviously, the other thing, you've got this galactic board game thing. You've got the die here, and we've got the card here with his information, his stats, you know, his abilities, whatnot. Another picture of the Destroy Droid on the back, as well as a small instruction manual. None of that really matters to me. I don't really care too much for it, but I'll go ahead and give you my final thoughts on this figure. Okay, so here are my final thoughts on the Destroyer Droid. The molding is actually pretty nice. It has a pretty good likeness to the actual Droideka from the movies. The paint job, there's really not much to say simply because there isn't really much going on with the paint scheme. It's mostly this solid gray color. But despite all that, it does look pretty good to the Droidekas that we've seen from the movies. So it looks okay. As far as articulation goes, you know, I know it's not your typical 3 3/4 inch figure. Actually, this might be a little bit shorter, I think, depending on how you pose them. But, you know, you're not going to have the standard kind of articulation as you would with a regular figure. But despite that, you know, this is a Droideka. In the movies, they roll up into a ball and they're supposed to roll around like a ball. You know, you can't do that with this figure at all. I think if Hasbro had dropped the really disappointing cannon firing action feature and instead given us a Droideka that can roll up into a ball, I think that would have been a lot nicer. So also accessories, which are pretty non-existent other than those missiles and, you know, the galactic board game thing. But you've also got a figure stand, which is just completely useless with this figure. But still, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, they did include a figure stand, so that is good, but it's useless with this actual figure. So, would I recommend buying this? Well, you know, I actually picked it up pretty cheap. It was on clearance at Target, so I think it was a value buy. It's not bad. It's okay, but I think this is probably going to be a toy that's better off with kids to play with rather than, you know, a collector to have and to display. But it still looks alright. Just not really all that spectacular. Nothing really to praise it about. So that's it for my review of the Destroyer Droid. See you later, guys.